our next guest is one of the most recognizable faces in comedy. We know him from on stage and on screen performances that continue to entertain audiences. And his career in comedy spans over a decade, where he has packed venues through his debut one-man show, Exhibit A, his annual Mpho Popps birthday comedy special, and Blacks Only. Mpho Popps first blew up when he was recognized on the SABC One show, So You Think You're Funny, before going to the club scene of Johannesburg. Now, this month, he releases his comedy special, Black in My Day, which is a trip down memory lane of how he grew up and his overall experiences. As we celebrate Women's Month, he'll also be a part of the My Enough is Our Enough campaign, which calls on all men across the industries and communities in South Africa to take an active stand against the scourge of gender-based violence. But to tell us more about his career in comedy and future endeavours, he now joins us via Skype to chat to us. Mpho Popps, very good morning, Baba. How's it going?
Good morning, Baba. This is the earliest I've been up on a Saturday in a while, so I'm going to. Thank you so much for having me.
I know, man. Tell me about it. I mean, you are one name which has undoubtedly made a name for yourself in the local comedy scene. 10 years on, and you're still pushing. What do you owe your longevity to?
I owe it to hard work, and I owe it to being blessed. I think it's not often people find what they're good at in life, and I was privileged enough to find it at a young age, and I just teamed that up with hard work, and I haven't stopped since. I've been going relentlessly over the past 10 years without stopping.
Geez, man, you are really unstoppable. You've been going on and on. But then, having said that, what would you say have been some of your career highlights that made you realize that you really have made it?
Some of my career highlights, there've been so many. First of all, getting invited to perform abroad. There's nothing more humbling than people from another country actually booking you to fly out to come and perform. So I've performed in Switzerland, I've performed in the US, I've performed in Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Uganda, Zimbabwe, Botswana. So that's my career highlights. My second has to be, 2 years running being the host of the Summers. I think no one realizes what an incredible journey that is, to be live and to have 11 million eyes on you at the same time. There's been so memories, and and nothing can compare to the sheer joy of selling, where you walk on stage and you realize, man, there are 3,000 people here to watch me. They came for me. They bathed, put on new clothes, bafaki roll on, bangene moto and drove all the way, purchased the ticket to come and see me.
I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't put any roll on and buy new clothes and come and watch Mpho Popps? I mean, it's everybody's dream, man, to laugh their lungs out. I mean, tomorrow you will be a part of the My Enough is Enough campaign, which call on people to stand against gender-based violence. Why did you deem it fit to be a part of this project?
Well, I deemed it fit to be a part of this project because I realized, like many others, the pioneers of the campaign, the Zungu brothers, that by being silent, I'm being complicit. GBV has been something that's been prevalent in my life for as long as I can remember, because I grew up in a household where it was prevalent. So I have been silent about it for all these years, and I want the women in this country, South Africa, all the children of South Africa, all the people who identify as women in South Africa, to know that I am taking a stand, and not just me, many other men in this country have gotten to the point where enough is enough. So we want to start these conversations. We want to start having these conversations where men call each other out and men hold each other accountable.
Geez, man, and I guess then that makes you unique, because you have discovered your sense of purpose. You are so multifaceted. You don't only, focus on your craft, on your comedy, but, the general issues affecting society as well. Well, I guess we have a date tonight at 9:30 p.m.
Yes.
And your comedy special, Black in My Day, will also be out today. What are some of the surprising bits that people might get to know from you through this performance? Apart, of course, from screaming fire and fire and fire.
I think, a big part of my comedy journey has been realizing that there's more to comedy than just being funny.
Yeah.
Once you have a platform, once you have a stage, people actually listen to you, and Steve Harvey once said, if you can make people laugh, you get their attention. And once you have their attention, you can teach them anything. And that's I think are going to be one of the surprising moments, or some of the surprising moments that you'll get to witness, is that through the humor, through the jokes, there's so many life lessons. There's so many things that I've learned with my family, with being a father, going through heartbreak. There's so many things that when you start in comedy, you just want to tell jokes, you just want to be funny. But the older you get, the more you realize there's a bigger cause, there's a bigger responsibility that is required from me, and that's one of the things I've done over the past few years. Is towards the end of my set, I normally let the energy come down, and I choose to talk about whatever issues are plaguing us at the moment as a society, because I realize the value that I have with my platform. I realize that I have 1,000 people, I have 2,000 people who are sitting, facing me, listening to me. And that's when I decide, this is a teachable moment, and I let it go. So I think the surprising part is how many teachable moments are in there and how many life lessons are interwoven and embedded in the jokes.
Yeah, and I guess then having encapsulated all that in the social element bit, because you're just like me, you're just like one of us. People don't actually think that you've got problems. Don't actually think that you go through heartbreaks. People think that a comedian is all fun and jokes, but then there is that social element that you share with us, isn't it?
Yes. I think one of the best things I've discovered with stand-up comedy and my 10 years in this career is that comedians have a unique ability to be vulnerable, you know? And that's always been my approach, is that when I get on stage, before I make fun of anyone else, I make fun of me. I make fun of my imperfections, my weaknesses. And it's one of the things we as a nation have learned to do over the years. We've learned to laugh at ourselves. And it's been essential and it's been critical in our healing process. I think we've learned to heal through the vehicle of humor. So that's the one thing I love about South Africans, is we know how to laugh at ourselves.
Okay, so that it'll make it easier to make fun of me by making fun of you first.
I need to be slagger me, manje.
Yeah, manje so slagger me, manje. Tell me, how do you think the local comedy scene has grown since you came on board?
It has grown tremendously, considering that there was a handful of comedians when I started. You could literally fit all the comedians in one room. The pure Monati crew are essentially the guys who started comedy. David Gao, Kagiso Lediga. I mean, you consider the fact that David Gao was the first black stand-up comedian, But fast forward to today, with the new things we see in the digital era, like social media, all of this, the comedy industry has grown tremendously. You go to the Comics Choice Awards now, and you have over 600 comedians who have entered, whereas you had like 50 back in the day. And I gotta pay homage to someone like Trevor Noah, who grew the industry to the point where comedians started being taken more seriously, and comedians got the chance to start appearing and emceeing a lot of mainstream events. So from my side, the comedy industry has grown tremendously through leaps and bounds, and with the introduction of social media and all these internet video streaming sites and this and that, we've also seen just comedy on its own grow as a bigger brand, with people like skit comedians, with people like Lasizwe, Dafaya, all those other people that aren't necessarily stand-up comedians but contribute to the art form of comedy.
Now, just speaking of internet streaming and social media, where some of these shows are now held as a result of this coronavirus pandemic, I've spoken to to a couple of comedians in the past weeks who will be streaming their shows on social media. Let's talk about that, Mpho. Utsi, how difficult that is, because as a comedian, man, you need to feed off the people. You need to feed off the energy of the people. In as much as 20,000 plus people are watching you, but don't you feel that you're not doing your best?
Honestly speaking, in the beginning of lockdown, when these streaming gigs were coming in, I was declining them because comedy is a tennis match. I have to hit and you have to hit back.
For sure.
It's how it works. That's how I know it's working. Musicians have the pleasure of working a song out in studio before they release it to the public. Comedians, the stage is our studio. That's where we learn if the joke works or not, or which part of it works, which part of it doesn't. Then we perform it over and over on stage until we get it right. So live just means you have one shot at it. I can try a joke here. I can do the same joke in Limpopo next week. I can do it the following week in Durban. By the time I get to Cape Town, it's beautiful. Yeah. Online doesn't allow that. And I need the feedback. I need to know that you're laughing. And sometimes just performing in a Zoom doesn't work. It's been so difficult. And I feel like not just comedy, also a lot of other art forms, this online space is taking away from the craft. It's taking away from how people enjoy the craft.
Okay.
But I think over time, like if you've seen soccer, they've put in the sounds and they've done everything to make sure it feels like we're still watching a football game. So I think over time we'll get there. But honestly, on my side, I'm not enjoying it.
Mpho Popps, 9:30 tonight, 9:30 p.m. tonight it is, hey? Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Black in my day.
See
you guys there. Thank you so much for having me.
Good stuff, man. No worries. That was Mpho Popps talking to us about his new TV special, Black in My Day, which comes out today, as well as his future endeavours.